Hey everyone, this is Crystal with Rockin' JC's Goat Farm. I am in the process of getting started on making some soft cheese from my goat milk. I'm milking, well, technically one whole goat, but two out of one. Basically milking one side of each goat because I've only got one kid and you have to milk out each side just so that they don't get sick and have udder issues. So that's where I got my milk. This is La Manche milk. And I have learned and recently discovered that when you're using La Manche milk, it does not have the full cream content that you would find in a normal dairy goat like a Nubian or that type of breed. It is a dairy goat, but it doesn't have as much cream as a Nubian that I'm familiar with, that I've worked with. I am working on getting more goats. I'm actually currently selling some of mine that are commercial goats. So, if you're interested, please let me know and we will go from there. But to first start off, I've got my pot, I've got my milk, I've got my utensils right here. That's all clean and sanitized, but let's get started. So I have right now currently a gallon of goat milk here. I right now stick it in my quart size. Oh, fresh milk. Can't beat that. Quart size jars because I don't get enough milk from my girls right now to fill a half jar, even though it would take up a lot less room in my fridge. I'm just doing it this way for now. If I can get my other goats home, I will hopefully be getting more milk here soon, which I'm super excited for. I love getting all of that into my pan whenever I am doing cheese, because without that it doesn't curd quite right. So you want to try and get as much of that into your milk as possible, because there is where you get your cheese from. Now, I'm not an expert at this. I've learned through trial and error. Pardon for, the other word, trial and error, how to do this. I have learned that when you are doing goat's milk, it depends on where you're at, your elevation, and what type of stove you have, whether it's a gas or electric. I have done most of mine on electric stoves when I lived in Vernon, which is about 20 minutes out of Show Low going towards Springerville. It's more northern Arizona. I have learned that when you're cooking on a electric stove, that it takes a lot longer for the milk to get up to temperature. And because of that, you stand there for good 45 minutes to an hour just keeping an eye on the temperature of the milk. And anybody who's like me is kind of impatient when in this type of lifestyle. It is a fun way to adapt because of the fact when you're impatient and you want something to happen the way you want it to happen and it doesn't turn out the way you want it to happen, it can be extremely frustrating. Now I've got another one here that's got the cream on top, so I'm going to scrape that out. Alright, so now we've got our milk in our pan here. You're going to turn this up on to about medium to medium low. And you're gonna want a thermometer. Now, I got most of my thermometers from the New England Cheese Company, and this is what mine looks like. Sorry about that. Still learning how to do this. But you've got your Fahrenheit on the inside and your Celsius to the outside. And when I do this, I get my cheese up to about 165. I was doing it to 185 when I lived in Vernon and I had no issues, but then when I moved here and I'm no longer milking the Nubians right at the moment, I just had one finished kidding, which was Beauty. You guys saw that video. They have a higher cream content, like I was recently saying, but being that I'm lower than what I was, and a friend of mine suggested me to bring my temperature down, I finally got my reaction that I was looking for, because I used distilled white vinegar to make mine. I have also tried doing the lemon juice to make my soft cheese, and I was not impressed. I don't know if I wasn't putting enough lemon juice in or if I was putting too much in, but it did not curd the way I wanted it to. So therefore, I tend to stick with the vinegar. It seems to be my best choice and I like it the most. I am not going to use this to stir. I am going to use my stainless steel because you don't want the reaction. Granted, I know I probably cross-contaminated with the spatula, but odds are with the soft cheese, it's really resilient, so it's really hard to kind of mess it up. It's a really easy cheese. It's basically called farm cheese. I looked up the difference between the difference of soft cheese, farm cheese, and Chev. Chev, you actually have to use a culture to turn it into Chev, where the soft cheese or farm cheese, all you do is add the vinegar in at a certain temperature, strain off the whey, add a little seasoning, and voila, it's cheese. So now we're gonna just kind of keep an eye on this and wait for it to get up to temperature. For mine, it takes about anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes to get up to temperature with being on a gas stove. Like I said, with the electric stove, I did have it at a lower temperature, so it did take a lot longer to get up to temperature, but I was so new at it last year that I was still learning how to do it. And now that I've got a little bit more experience, I'm learning what works for me, what doesn't work for me. And that goes with anybody who's making it for the first time. You just gotta learn what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Some things work better for me and it doesn't work so much for somebody else. I mean, it just varies. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this a nice light stir because I've got all that cream kind of just sitting on top, and you want that to kind of break down and dissolve. But like I said, this really does not take that long to get up to temperature. But I will bring you back when it does. Okay, so we're almost close. We're sitting at about 140 right now. So about 5 more minutes-ish, because it's been about 10 to 15 already. In about 5 more minutes, we should be right about our temperature, and then I will bring you back to put in the vinegar, and we'll watch the magic happen. So I'll bring you right back. Alright, so we're definitely getting close. I wanted to show you really quick, sorry about the hand, what we're looking for when your milk is warming to its proper temperature, because as you can see, we're getting very close. It's going to start foaming right along here, and as you can see, very carefully, you can actually start seeing the steam coming off the milk. So we're definitely getting very close to adding our vinegar. Sorry about that. I was trying to play with my camera and figure something out. I just wanted to give you guys a quick information before this got to temperature. With making the soft cheese, I've got mine on about medium, a little less than medium as far as the gas stove. Biggest thing is you want to continue to stir it until it gets the temperature, because milk is easily scorched. You can burn it fairly easily as long as you're not paying attention. If you're paying attention, you shouldn't have that problem. That's why I tend to stand right by it as it's warming up. We are getting extremely close to its temperature that I want to get to add my vinegar. I'll bring you right over. So as you can see, we are very close to 165. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to add in my vinegar, and I would love to show you what happens, but you're gonna have to give me 1 second. So I'm gonna take my vinegar and I'm gonna take my spoon as well. I'm gonna spread my vinegar over the milk, just like this, and then gently stir it in. I generally do about a half a cup of vinegar, just so I know it's getting enough acidity. I'm going to show you real quick. I just poured in the vinegar, and as you can see, it's already starting to curd. I'm going to go ahead and shut my heat off. But you can see those curds right there. That is your cheese. I'm going to stir this for a good minute or so. Make sure it's well incorporated. Sorry guys, I'm doing this with 2 hands and I have no pedestal or anything to put my phone on to give you a proper sight. But as you can see, it has separated, even though it's not quite where I would want it because there's not as much cream content like I was telling you, because it's La Manche milk. So I'm gonna set my spoon right over here. I'm gonna take my thermometer out and I'm gonna grab my lid to put it on. So I've got my lid, I'm gonna put it on. It's not the right lid, it's not that big of a deal, but I let this sit for approximately, you know, maybe 5-10 minutes ish, and then I will strain it. And then once I've strained it, you want to strain the whey off of it. I will not completely take the whey off completely, but I want it to have some sort of texture with the whey, and then I'll add my seasonings. And the only seasoning I add to my soft cheese is an all seasoning and parsley. So I will bring you along for that in just a little bit. Alright, well this has been sitting for about 10 minutes now. I'm going to go ahead and strain it off. And sorry about that. Show you what it looks like while it's straining. I've got over here a glass pot in my strainer, along with a cheesecloth that I bought at Cattle Ranch. They've got some really nice ones there that weren't there before, and I went ahead and grabbed some up because I like these ones better than the smaller ones. The smaller ones are kind of harder to deal with unless you're doing with a smaller quantity. Then it's not so bad, but I tend to like to go with the bigger batch. So we're going to go ahead and pour this in here. You just don't want to overflow your pot, which I'm good. I'm going to pour that on in there. Make sure you get those goody goods off the bottom there. Okay, I'm going to set this back on the stove here. And then generally what I like to do is I'm going to get this stuff kind of out of my way for a second. And I'm going to pull this on over here because I'm going to end up using my spoon from stirring, and I'm going to lay it on top of my pot here so it'll strain. So I'm going to grab each one of my corners here. And just don't really want to make a mess. It's the biggest thing. I'm going to pick this on up. Just so that it kind of gives some weight to it. I'm going to open it back up, and then I'm going to tie my spoon to it. That way it's got some gravity to strain off of, because you want to strain off the whey. Now, since I've been doing this, I've only been doing it for about a year. I've been told by multiple different people that they use the whey in baking and in soups and any and everything that you can possibly think to use water for. You can definitely exchange it for the whey. And there's just so much more nutrients in the whey that I feel like by doing that, you're getting the benefit of healthier food because of the whey being in your food. All right, well now I'm going to transfer this on over to my big pot here. Now there's not a whole lot of room, but I don't need a whole lot of room. I just need the weight so that the whey can drain. And I'm going to show you that real sec. So if you can see on the bottom there, that's the whey draining off. Sorry about that. I'm learning how to do this as I go. But as you can see, it's draining off really good. And about every, I don't know, say 5 or 10 minutes, I will take it out of there and I will pour it back into this bowl. And, you know, some people will save all that whey. I don't use it enough yet for me to save enough of it, because then it just starts storing up my jars from collecting milk. So therefore I don't really save a whole lot of it, but I do save some of it. It's like I said, it's got multiple different uses. You can put it in shakes, you can put it in baking, your soups, when you're making bread. It's really good. So I will bring you back when I've got more of this whey drained off and I'm getting ready to put it into a bowl so that I can season it and package it. So I'll bring you back. All right, so what I went and did is I went and got my bigger pot here out of my storage area, because I did have it in this pot to drain in, and it's just not quite deep enough. This one's only I want to say 12 quart, the smaller one, and this one is a 6 quart pan, so it's actually able to sit pretty deep in there, so that it can drain properly. So I'm not going to mess with it. I'm going to just let it do its thing. I'm not going to touch it or anything, and just let it drain. And then when that's done, I will bring you back and show you how I season it and package it. Thanks for watching. All right, sorry guys, I got pre-distracted and went ahead and strained off the cheese and got it packaged, seasoned, and wrapped, and is what it looks like. This is what my pound of soft cheese looks like when I'm done. Generally, when I make my soft cheese from my Nubian milk or any other milk besides the La Manche milk, I can generally get anywhere from 1.5 pounds to almost 2 pounds of cheese out of a gallon. I've only been getting 1 pound out of it right now, which is kind of frustrating compared to what I used to get. So anyways, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and spread the word. It really helps me out. Thanks. See you next time.